Welcome to Soft Fame 9. I still remember the moment like it's etched into my mind, the exact second my life shifted in a way I could never have imagined. It all started with a prank. My roommate, Armon, had this brilliant idea to teach me a lesson for constantly teasing him about his obsession with makeup and fashion. He said it would be harmless. He promised. But as I stood in my room, staring at the full-length mirror, I realized how very wrong that promise had been. I blinked. I pinched my cheeks. I even yanked at my hair, convinced I was hallucinating. But no. My reflection stared back at me with soft, wide eyes framed by curling lashes I'd never had. My lips looked fuller, glossier. My jawline softened in a way that made me almost unrecognizable. What did you do?" I whispered, my voice cracking, unsure if I was screaming or laughing. Armon grinned from behind me, holding a small vial. "Relax. Just a little cosmetic fun. You'll see the full effect in the mirror soon. Trust me, you look amazing." I wanted to be angry, but every time I looked at myself, a strange, thrilling warmth coursed through me. I was supposed to be embarrassed, humiliated, but instead, I was fascinated. My hands shook as I touched my cheeks, my hair, the subtle curves that weren't there yesterday. "How is this possible?" I murmured, tracing the shape of my jaw and the soft slope of my shoulders. Even my posture felt different, lighter somehow. Armon laughed, a little nervously. "It's temporary. But, enjoy it. You might like it more than you think." I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I couldn't look away. The reflection was undeniable. It wasn't just a costume or makeup, it felt like me, in a way I had never admitted even to myself. And as the last traces of disbelief faded, a single thought echoed in my mind. If this is who I could be, why does it feel so right? The next morning, everything felt different. I woke up, expecting to look like myself again. But the moment I opened my eyes and caught a glimpse of the reflection in my phone's screen, my chest tightened. My face was still softer, my eyes wider, my hair falling gently around my cheeks. Even under the plain t-shirt and pajama pants I grabbed, my body seemed to move differently, graceful, lighter, almost alien. My roommate was nowhere in sight, probably downstairs, which gave me a few precious minutes. I tiptoed to the bathroom, staring at myself in the mirror again. My lips curled unconsciously, my cheeks warmed, and for the first time, I noticed how every small feature, the arch of my eyebrows, the curve of my jaw, even my collarbone, seemed to demand attention. I swallowed hard. "Okay, breathe. This is temporary. It's just a prank." But my heart didn't agree. At breakfast, my mom gave me a curious glance. "You seem quiet today," she said. Her words were casual, but her eyes lingered longer than usual. I forced a laugh. "Just tired, I guess." Even at school, the difference was noticeable. Friends leaned in, whispering, glancing at me with subtle but unmistakable curiosity. "Dude, what happened to you?" asked my friend Riaz, eyes wide. "You look weirdly different." "In a good way." I laughed awkwardly, running a hand through my hair. "It's nothing. Just a bad sleep, maybe." Every glance, every murmur made my stomach twist. I wanted to scream, to run, to hide, but at the same time, I caught myself noticing details about my reflection in windows, phone screens, and mirrors I'd always ignored before. A new awareness tingled through me, unsettling yet intoxicating. By the time I got home, my mind was a tangled mess of panic and curiosity. My roommate's prank had shaken my reality, but it had also awakened something unexpected. And as I stood in my room, staring at myself again, a small, almost imperceptible smile crept onto my lips. Maybe. I wanted to see more. That night, after everyone else in the house had gone to bed, I stayed awake, my heart thudding in my chest. Curiosity had transformed into an almost unbearable pull. I couldn't just go back to being normal anymore, not after seeing her in the mirror. I quietly unlocked my sister's wardrobe. The faint scent of her perfume mixed with the fabric's softness hit me immediately. Every dress, every scarf, every delicate piece of clothing seemed to whisper secrets I had never been allowed to hear. I picked out a simple dress, a soft pastel, not flashy, but undeniably feminine, and held it against my body. My fingers trembled. "Just one try," I whispered. But even as I said it, I knew I wanted more. Slipping out of my own clothes, my hands shook as I slid into the dress. The fabric hugged my shoulders lightly, brushing my skin like it had been waiting for me. I stood in front of the mirror, holding my breath. The boy I had always been was gone. In his place, a girl stared back at me, nervous, wide-eyed, but unmistakably alive. Then came the makeup. I had no real experience, just scraps of knowledge from YouTube tutorials I'd watched secretly. Lip balm first, kajal next. My hands shook, but as I traced the liner across my eyes, the reflection began to change subtly. My eyes seemed deeper, more expressive. My lips fuller, delicate. I experimented with my voice, softening it, letting it rise and fall naturally. I moved differently, tilting my head, shifting my weight, noticing how small adjustments altered my entire demeanor. The thrill was electric, a mix of fear and exhilaration I had never felt before. Time passed unnoticed. Hours melted away as I explored, experimented, and discovered. Each new movement, each adjustment of clothing or makeup, made the reflection in the mirror feel more and more like me. Finally, I changed back and carefully hid everything. My hands were still trembling, my heart racing, but my mind refused to quiet down. One thought kept echoing in my head. If this feels this right in private, what would it feel like to step outside? I told myself it would just be a short walk. A tiny experiment. Nothing daring. But once I put on the soft kurti, leggings, and simple sandals, staying inside felt heavier than stepping into the unknown. My hands trembled as they hovered over the door handle. You can still turn back, a voice in my head warned. If not today, then when? Whispered another, firmer voice. I stepped outside. The sunlight felt different, almost exposing. Every sound was sharper, the distant traffic, birds calling, leaves rustling in the breeze. I adjusted my dupatta nervously, aware of every movement, every sway, every gesture. At the corner shop, my pulse pounded in my throat. I pretended to browse the shelves, my heart hammering. Then the shopkeeper said casually, "Madam, do you need a bag?" Madam. Just one word, and it jolted me. My throat tightened. Yes, please, I murmured, barely above a whisper. Walking home, I realized something. Fear was still there, buzzing under my skin, but it wasn't ruling me. Confidence had crept in quietly, almost shyly. I had survived the world outside, and nothing had broken me. Over the next few days, I pushed myself further. A longer walk, a bus ride across town, a quiet cafe where no one knew me. Each small victory built courage. A woman complimented my earrings, a cashier smiled warmly at me. I was learning how to exist without hiding. Each reflection, each interaction, confirmed that this version of me wasn't wrong, it was real. One evening, my mom watched me lace my sandals by the door. She didn't question, didn't lecture. She simply said, "Take your shawl, it might get cold." No judgment. No panic. Just care. And in that moment, I realized something vital. I wasn't sneaking anymore. I wasn't pretending. I was finally becoming. The tension had been simmering for days, but it finally erupted one Sunday afternoon. I was in my room, half-dressed, partly in her clothes, partly still myself, caught in that uncomfortable in-between. A knock on the door froze me. Not gentle. Not casual. Firm. Insistent. "Can we talk?" My mom's voice called softly. I swallowed hard. Yes. She stepped in, closing the door behind her. Her eyes swept over me, the kurti, the subtle makeup, the way I sat on the edge of the bed, nervous and exposed. "Your aunt saw you today," she said. I froze. "Anne?" "And she asked questions I couldn't answer for you," my mom continued gently. Silence filled the room. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. "Are you hiding?" she asked finally, "or are you becoming?" The question struck deeper than any accusation could. I swallowed, words catching in my throat. I don't know how to do this publicly yet." She nodded slowly. "People will talk, of course. But I need to know, if everyone found out tomorrow, would you go back?" Memories flashed in my mind, the mirror smile, the shopkeeper's madam, the quiet thrill of walking outside. "No," I whispered. "I don't think I could." Her hand found mine, warm and steady. "Then stop living halfway," she said softly. "That's the most painful place to exist." Tears pricked my eyes. I'm scared, I admitted. So am I, she replied honestly. But I'd rather be scared with you than watch you disappear. That night, lying in bed, her words replayed in my mind. Stop living halfway. For the first time, I wasn't hiding from the truth. I was ready to embrace it, fully, unapologetically. The next morning felt lighter than any morning before. Fear was still there, an old shadow clinging to the edges of my mind, but it no longer controlled me. I dressed carefully, deliberately. A soft kurti, leggings, and sandals. Nothing flashy, nothing apologetic. As I adjusted my dupatta in the mirror, I noticed the difference. I wasn't searching for approval anymore. I was recognizing myself. Downstairs, my mom looked up as I entered. Her eyes scanned me, taking in the outfit, the subtle makeup, the calm in my posture. I braced for judgment, for panic, but she only smiled. You look comfortable, she said. I feel comfortable, I replied, and meant it. That day, we went out together, side by side, like we always had, but something had changed. I wasn't hiding, shrinking, or pretending. People stayed, some whispered. A few smiled. My mom walked calmly beside me, laughed with me, treated me the same, only now with quiet relief shining in her eyes. At one shop, a cashier complimented my earrings. Your daughter is very graceful. My mom didn't correct her. She simply nodded. Something inside me cracked open, and healed at the same time. Later, alone in my room, I sat on the bed and thought about all the years I had folded myself into someone I wasn't. I realized bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. I wasn't becoming someone else. I was finally allowing myself to exist, fully, openly, unapologetically. For years, I thought being myself would mean losing everything, family, friends, even my place in the world. But what I discovered is the opposite. The only thing I lost was the version of me that had been hiding all along. I didn't become someone new overnight. I became the person I had always been, quietly waiting for permission to breathe, to move, to exist. And when I finally stepped into the light, I realized something powerful. Love doesn't disappear when you live honestly. It grows. It deepens. It becomes real. If you're watching this, feeling the same fear and longing, know this: you are not broken. You are not too late. You are not alone. Sometimes, becoming yourself isn't about rebellion, it's about coming home. Cherry Blossom.